This is the first time I'm turning the camera on today, and I don't know what time it is. Later in the day, and this is the first time today I'm turning the camera on, and that is because this day has been a day of technical difficulties. Two issues. I use a mobile hotspot for internet, and it was cutting in and out, working for about 10 minutes and then cutting out, and then I'd turn it on and off, and then it would work for another 10 minutes and then cut out, and then I'd turn it on and off and then repeat the process. That was not working out for me. And then the editing software on my computer was having issues as well. So the bulk of today has been me troubleshooting what the problem is, trying this, trying that, on the phone with customer service 2 different times after I was already like in depth trying to do stuff with the first customer representative, and then of course, you know, the call is dropped out of nowhere and then I have to restart the process. Yes, so not to mention, I began editing yesterday's footage. I think 4 different times I was making progress with the editing, and then out of nowhere it is all lost. So you can maybe imagine how much patience I have used up today, and that is why I didn't film most of today. So here we are. I think we are on day 19 of the Advent calendar. Also, by the way, technical difficulties were not my only difficulty today that I had to exercise the utmost patience with, but let's not get into that. This is Lady Grey tea. The ingredients are black tea, orange peel, lemon peel, natural citrus flavors with other natural flavors. And this tea I have had many times before. It's a tea that I will buy at the store in particular because I like it so much. I may like it better than Earl Grey. So I guess I will brew this and give it a try on camera, even though I know that I like it. Alright, I've got the tea brewing here next to me. I added a little sugar and a little milk. I'll let it sit there for a minute. In the meantime, I'll read the door of day 19 on this Advent calendar. It says, treat yourself. Scan the QR code for a recipe for a treat during the holidays. Then, light a candle and take 5 deep breaths. Let the calm vibes flow over you. Treat yourself. Talking about taking deep breaths. I already told you how my day went. Yes, deep breaths. Deep breaths. If that only solved everything. If that was all it took to solve everything. I am not much of the person that is into lighting a candle, taking deep breaths, and letting calm vibes flow over me. I'm not quite that type of person. I barely ever light a candle. I might light one if the power goes out for long enough. I definitely do not use scented candles. I personally think they're quite toxic. As I might have said at some point before, I try to hold my breath when I walk down aisles in stores where they sell scented candles. It makes me feel ill if I smell them. One time I was at a church service, not the one that I currently go to, but I went there a few times. They would have this scented candle burning in the room where we were gathered. They'd have this scented candle burning there, stinking up the room. I could barely take it. It made me feel ill. It made me feel like I had a headache and like I was gonna be sick. So I didn't keep going there, but not for that reason. Deep breaths. Yes, well, deep breaths are okay, but I mean, and then let the calm vibes flow over you. Treat yourself. Calm vibes. What a thing to talk about this time of year, but treat yourself. Again, I don't want to, and I am not one to cope with issues of my life by treating myself. Whether that be through food or like buying, I don't know, buying a thing to make me feel better, and that's how I cope to get through life. I'm not that type of person. I might have tried it once and it didn't work for me, because if I'm upset enough, I don't feel like eating, and then buying a thing is really not that fulfilling. That is where I'm coming from. It doesn't really fix the thing. It doesn't really make me feel better. What does make me feel better? Solutions make me feel better. Things being fixed make me feel better. Signs of improvement encourage me. Basically, I guess problems being fixed, issues being fixed is what makes me feel better about a situation, not really treating myself. As far as calm vibes flowing over me, I must admit, sometimes if I'm going through a thing enough, it is more difficult to even pray. Have you noticed this? It is a little more difficult to focus and even pray when there is enough stormy weather, as I will put it. When there is enough stormy weather, it can be a little more difficult to even pray. Brings to mind that story in the Bible. Weren't the disciples or something in a boat, and there was a storm, and Jesus was asleep in the boat, and they were all scared? Yeah, well, when there is stormy weather and there is a storm, it can be a little harder to focus on the Lord and the fact that He is with me. I must say, that is probably something I can work on personally. Other than remembering that the Lord is with me and He is working all things for my good, and that He cares for me and loves me, all that sort of thing. That's part of my foundation and my anchor. But besides that, what other things make me feel better? Music does. Sometimes I can play the piano, play some songs, and I feel better afterward. Or driving in the car and having some music playing. Somehow that is soothing. Or animals, interacting with animals, playing with them, walking with them, that makes me feel better. So anyways, I think I am just gonna keep this day's vlog short because of what I've been dealing with today. I went through enough today in more ways than one, not just technical difficulties, that I don't even feel motivated to cook this evening. I was gonna, but my motivation, like my gas tank of motivation has been completely depleted. I guess I'll taste this tea. Yes, I can see why I like this one. I just do. I just like this tea. One of my favorites before finding out about Lady Grey was Earl Grey, and I still like that one, but I prefer Lady Grey. What is the difference between the two? I think Lady Grey is a little lighter, maybe lighter than Earl Grey, but still with all the nice aspects of Earl Grey. Before I end the vlog for today, I thought I might try talking about something, and that is, if Jesus came back tomorrow, let's say, and we did not continue living as we are right now because he came back, would you miss anything? Would you miss anything? Or if something hasn't happened yet in your life and Jesus comes back tomorrow, would you feel like you're missing out on having that thing, whatever it is, happen in your life before Jesus comes back? Yes, that is what I want to talk about. If Jesus came back tomorrow, is there something you would miss? Like, I am inferring that when Jesus comes back, then we'll all go to heaven or something with him, right? We're not just going to be living here as we are right now. So if that happened, would you miss something? Because I have heard some people say that they would. Now, some, it came off more as a joke, but they still said it, or some came off more serious, like they legitimately would have liked the thing to happen to them first in their life before Jesus came back. So basically, Jesus, don't come back yet because I want this thing to happen in my life first. Is there anything like that that you would feel you were missing out on, or you know what I'm saying? For me, no, is my answer. Yes, my answer is no. I wouldn't miss a single thing if Jesus came back tomorrow. Not a single thing. And I realized that us being with him would be so much better than anything that could happen to us on this earth, that I with that knowledge, I wouldn't be waiting around for something to happen here or hope that something happens here, or I need to reach this milestone in my life first before Jesus comes back, or I'm gonna miss out on this thing if Jesus comes back tomorrow. No, I wouldn't. I don't feel that way. I wouldn't feel like I missed out on anything. And personally, when I hear other people talk about what they would miss if Jesus came back tomorrow, makes me, I don't relate. I do not relate, and I wonder how they could feel that way. To me, if they feel that way, it would be an indicator of them valuing that thing, whatever it is, more than they would value being with Jesus and being out of this world. And that is what I can't relate to. I can't. What do you mean that you would miss this or that? How could you? Unless they are enjoying their existence in this world more than I am. That could be true too. But personally, I wouldn't miss whatever kind of situation we are in today. All that's not going to matter when Jesus comes back. What's going to matter is what you did while you were living here. And if you believe that Jesus is Lord, that's what's going to matter. Anyways, my point is, I don't relate. And these things that I've heard certain individuals say they would miss if Jesus came back tomorrow or like today are not comparable to me. Well, what is comparable to being with Jesus and being out of this world? What would be comparable to that? That's the whole point. How could they compare? Some of these things that I have heard that someone might miss if Jesus came back, like today or tomorrow. Well, one of them that I can recall is the guy wanted to be married first before Jesus came back, like wanted to have that experience in his life before Jesus came back. And I'm thinking to myself, why? Granted, when he was wanting that before Jesus comes back, granted, he had never been married before. So, I mean, I can see why someone would want it so much. If you had never been married before, I can see why someone would want it so much. But besides that, I thought, why would you choose that? Why would that even matter? I would much rather have Jesus come back tomorrow. So my point is, to me, it's like you're valuing having the opportunity to experience marriage more than being with Jesus. And to me, that's sort of offensive. Sort of offensive if you claim Jesus is your Lord and you love him and you're following him and you're a believer and he's your God. To go off and say, I'd rather have this happen first before Jesus comes back, to me, it's like you're choosing that over him. And I think that's offensive if you claim to love Jesus so much. You know what I'm saying? Or it could be other things, not just marriage. I just sometimes feel weary of some Christians being so milquetoast and not very devoted. How else can I say it? Not very hot. A little too close to lukewarm. A little too close to salt that is not salty anymore. That sort of thing. I get weary of that. I would like that we are truly committed and devoted to the one we claim as our God. Is he really your God? Or are you just saying that? You know what I mean? Because by certain actions and words and observations of what someone values, to me, I don't know if he is really your God. It sounded more to me like you would prefer other things over him. I just get a little weary of seeing this type of weakness in my fellow Christians. And is that the new norm for Christians? To not be too fervent, not be too extreme, and not to love the Lord too much, Don't love him so much that it might show in everything you do. I'm being a little facetious there, but I hope you get my point. Where we're claiming him as our God, do we show it or do we just say it? Like, is he our God in name only or in actions? I can, since I brought up marriage a little bit ago, I can compare it to marriage. So let's say you have a husband or you have a wife. Is it in name only or do your actions follow? I don't want to become lukewarm. I don't want to want things more than being with Jesus if he were to come back tomorrow. I don't want to value things more than I value him, or else either value him and love him above all else, or don't say he's your God. It is sort of offensive if you do both. Like calling someone a wife or a husband, but in action, they're a stranger to you, and you don't even care that they are. So how much love is there? How much devotion is there? They are that to you in name only. And as sad as that is, I think God has to deal with that more than any person has or does. I think God has to deal with the fact that there are lots of people who claim to love Him, claim Him as their God, but really it's in name only. It's not really in their actions, not really shown in their life. And I think it's also sad that when a person does at least try more to value God above all else, I think it's sad that when a person is a little too much that way, a little too fervent, a little too driven, a little too devoted, a little too committed, a little too much in love with Jesus, that even in the Christian churchy environment, they're now a little weird. The very environment in which that type of fervor should be accepted and normal, it comes off as weird and a little too much. A little too much. Just dial down your enthusiasm a little. You're making me uncomfortable, You're making me feel like, what? God really is your God? I thought we were just saying that He was. You come off as if you're peculiar. And well, we are. Well, we should be. But what I'm saying is, even in some church groups, a person can come off peculiar if they are too much that way. Even in some church groups. And I just don't like that the almost lukewarm Christian is the norm now. That is what I get weary of. That's not the norm. It is so common that it comes off as the norm, but that is not the normal Christian life. It is just common. Do you see what I'm saying? If a lot of people are insane, then a lot of people are insane, but that's not the norm. Do you see what I'm trying to say? If a lot of people are sick, then that's what is common, and that is the majority, but that is not health. This is something I want to write about in the future. It's a writing of mine that I've begun, but I haven't finished. It's about how, let's say, Christians, believers, that group of people is a minority in the world. Like, most people in the world aren't Christian. So let's say being Christian means you're in a minority. Well, there's a minority within the minority. Do you get what I'm saying? There's a minority within the minority. What is that minority that is within the minority? Well, okay, the group of Christians, believers, let's say that's already a minority. Well, the minority within the minority is those that are burning red hot and not lukewarm and not playing with lukewarmness. The ones that are really devoted and know who their God is. Not ones playing around saying, oh, I'd miss this if Jesus came back yesterday, or, oh, I want this to happen in my life before Jesus comes back. Not those ones. I want to urge you, if you are a Christian, burn red hot. Burn red hot. Don't become lukewarm, even if that is common. Don't become lukewarm, even if that makes you, the peculiar one, the one that's a little too intense, the one that is a little too devoted, the one that is a little too in love with God and takes Him a little too seriously. I urge you to burn red hot, and to burn all the hotter when there's coldness all around you. Coldness in the world, coldness from people closest to you. There's always something that comes along to try to cool you. burn all the hotter, despite all the things that would like to cool you. That is what I would urge you to do if you are a Christian. And you know, I think I said in yesterday's footage, the beginning of yesterday's footage, I think I said, actually no, it was the day before. The Vlogmas video about weathering that windstorm. In the beginning of that footage, I said that it is clear what a person loves because it shines through in everything they do. And so it's true. I mean, I see it. I can see what people love when they would prefer that they get married before Jesus comes back. I think to most people, if you were to say that you wouldn't miss a single thing if Jesus came back tomorrow, it sounds off, it sounds weird, and it sounds like what do you mean? Even to Christians is what I'm saying. I'm not talking about unbelievers. I'm talking about, it sounds a little too extreme. Even for a lot of Christians, because there are other things that they love more than Jesus. I know how that sounds. I am saying in name only. So, I mean, if you have a husband, if you have a wife, for instance, and you say you love them, do you really? Do you really? Or are you thinking about what you want? What you might miss out on if you love them too much? Miss out on this, I wouldn't have my way there. I would have to hold my words over here. I'd have to sacrifice over here. I'd have to give a little patience here. Pretty quickly, you can tell how much someone loves someone. And as I said, there may be some married people who unfortunately have to deal with spouses that don't love them. But despite that, I think our Lord has to deal with that way more. Way more. People saying, oh, I love you, Lord, blah, 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 blah. I love you so much, blah, 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 blah. Every day, every Sunday, going to church. Oh, Lord, you're our God, whatever they're doing, right? Well, really? Because sometimes in the very same sermon, they're saying that they would miss something if Jesus came back tomorrow. So don't tell me, please, about how much you love Jesus when you will outwardly say right then that you will miss something if Jesus came back tomorrow, and whatever it is, it doesn't compare. You can't tell me anything that would be better than Jesus coming back tomorrow and being with him forevermore. And so what am I saying? I am saying that makes me weary. It makes me weary. Like, it actually is, as I said before, slightly offensive. It's almost like someone saying they love some other person more than their spouse. Am I the only one? And then I feel like, am I the only one that feels this way when leaders in churches speak like this? Am I the only one that feels a little uncomfortable that they would admit that and say that? Not only admit it and say it, but where do words come from? Out of the heart, if I may use a Bible verse. I feel almost like there's a little hint of adultery, basically. Is that a little too extreme? If you are loving Jesus, but not as much as you want something else to happen first before you're with him forever, I question your fidelity. I do. And see, the more I speak freely, the harsher it sounds. And I don't speak this way just to sound harsh. I am holding this back most of the time. The things I see, the things I observe, most of the time, especially in my personal life, but I feel a little more open sometimes talking to a camera, I'm holding all this back so much, what I see. And most of the time, other people don't want to hear it anyway, even other Christians. So, but I see it, and I can't unsee it. I can't not see it, and I don't want to not see it. If I am seeing something, I'd rather see it rather than be blind, even if it causes discomfort. I'm weary. I cannot, most of the time, is this a little too much too? I cannot look at a leader in the church and be thinking, I want to be like him. I want to pattern my life after him and be, a good disciple of Jesus. Like they're not even a role model. In fact, like I said not too long ago, I'm learning by opposites where I don't want to be like that. And I'm weary of that. I would like other Christians to feel like we're on the same team. And I'm not saying we're not on the same team if they're also Christians. I'm just saying I question how much you take this seriously. Like, often I imagine like soldiers being on the battlefield. You have your fellow soldiers with you, right? Well, if some of your fellow soldiers are lax and talking about how they might have liked to join the other team, or they're starting to question the general, or acting like, are you even on our side? It would be off-putting. It would make me feel like, where are you even at? Well, I might change the subject a little bit, but talking about soldiers and battlefields and this life in this world for the Christian, yes, we have victory, and yes, we still battle things. I just want to say that if you are walking with the Lord, don't be surprised if some of the people closest to you, the enemy will try to influence to get at you. People you thought were safe that turn out to be listening and being influenced by the enemy a little too much to be safe anymore. What I'm saying is, if the enemy can't get at you directly, he will try to use those closest to you. And that puts into question, again, for me, which side are you on? In fact, you feel like a traitor. In fact, you feel like the enemy himself, because you are so easily influenced by him. That is a whole other subject. I would just urge you, if you are fighting the good fight, taking God seriously, and not wanting to be lukewarm, I want to encourage you to keep going. Keep going. Don't fall back. Press on. Be brave in battle. Stay focused and know what the truth is. Even if it's not the prettiest thing. Even if the truth is not the prettiest thing, it's its own, to me, it's its own reward. Truth is its own reward if you accept it and embrace it. What is the alternative? Deception and lies and false things? Do you want that? Even if they are pleasant? Anyway, I have a lot of things going on in my mind right now. I really don't know how much of this I'm going to put in the video. I don't know if... I feel like I know what I'm saying, but I don't know if it is understandable to anybody who is listening. I hope tomorrow is a better day for me. I hope that I am able to have technology work better for me. We'll see. In the meantime, again, I just want to encourage you to keep going even when you're in stormy weather, when there's battles, when there's feelings of fellow soldiers being traitors, feelings of wondering if you are the only one. Well, who was that guy? Was it Elijah that said he felt like the only one or something along those lines? I am sorry if I'm not telling the story very well, but you're not the only one. You're not the only one. You're not the only one that wants to burn red hot, wants to truly live this life for their God. The Lord Jesus. You're not the only one. Even if you are a minority within a minority, you're not the only one. And in the end, all will be known. God is just, and each person will account for their deeds, good or bad. All will be accounted for in the end. We're not going through this life with no conclusion. It may seem like it goes on, and what is even being accomplished? Where am I really going to end up? Where are we going? What is happening? There is a conclusion, and for me, I am often comforted by the fact that there will be a day when each person will account for their deeds, and there will be justice. And God, in only ways that He can do, will take care of everything. He's going to take care of everything and reward people properly. All will be known. Yes, I am often comforted by that fact that in the end, all will be accounted for. So with that in mind, I hope we are encouraged to keep living this life with purpose and focus and devotion.